Hey there, and welcome back to this week's edition of Ask Ron, where Gold Club members ask Ron questions. I've got Ron and special guest Barbara with me here today. How are you guys doing?
We're
Great.
doing good.
Hope you guys are too.
This is BJ, we call her. Happens to be my sister. Realtor, investor, longtime mentor to many of our students.
Awesome. And one thing that I do want to mention real quick, this is a benefit for our Gold Club members. So if you are not a member, how can you get joined, Ron?
RonsGoldClub.com.
Perfect.
We got new levels nowadays, and we've added a bunch of cool stuff, and we haven't raised the price, so you might go check it out, because literally what's on that site will run your business for you and get leads for you, and all kinds of other things it does as well. But go check that out. Go to DreamsPro.com and you'll see what it's all about. We'll be sending you emails later throughout announcing training sessions on it as well. So you need to check it out, because it's going to replace a lot of the stuff that most investors do to find sellers' leads and to qualify them to the point to where you don't need very many of them to get a deal.
And you get to skip trace them and find the phone number, so it's all inclusive.
And an analyzer on analyzing the rehabs on houses. They do the mailing for you. Mailing is cheap, and we could go on, but that's not why we're here, are we?
No. So well, let's get to your questions.
I'm gonna let you handle the tough ones.
All right. First off, we got one from Tony and Angie Stewart.
Always.
Hey, Tony. Hi, Angie.
They said, if we pay someone a marketing fee for bringing us a deal that we end up closing on, do we have to get their social and issue them a 1099 if it's over $500?
Okay. There's a difference between what you're supposed to do and that what you do. Because you're supposed to issue them a 1099 unless they are an LLC or an entity. And of course, most of them aren't going to send you leads. So it's a very small penalty for not issuing them 1099. So I'm going to leave that one up to you, what you want to do, Tony, but I got a feeling I know what the answer would be.
All right. Next up is from Tim Matthews. What is the average amount of time it takes to secure a tenant buyer once your marketing begins?
God, Tim, that's like asking me what's the price of a house. I mean, there's so many variables in that, it's hard to answer.
All we can say is it can happen very quickly if you can get the right marketing out there. The easiest way is simple. Just put your bandit signs out there, your pointer, not your bandit signs, your pointer signs, many of them 10, 15, pointing to the house.
Hey, we don't even do that anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
you won't have to do any more.
No, just put it on.
And go on Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace.
You need to have our VA create you a one-page flyer with photos of the house, which we just saw in there, and a Matterport video. That cost about $450 to create. They go out and photograph the house. They do aerial shots with drones, and they make a video of that so people can actually see the house before they even go to it. And selling houses should not cost you anything today, because it's all done online. We don't even put up signs anymore.
What first thing you do is get it on Zillow, and from Zillow, then you use that Zillow listing to populate it to Facebook Marketplace, and then from Marketplace, there's lots of things you can do. Check out swap groups. You can market to 20 at a time. Lots of ways to do free advertising. So with that said, should happen quickly, because you're looking for a buyer that has just a down payment, doesn't have to qualify for a bank, and there's so many people out there looking for houses to buy that way.
70% of the people looking to buy a house cannot qualify at the bank.
Right.
Now back to your question. Answer to your question depends on the product.
Exactly.
And how you market it, and what the market's like where you live, and how nice is the house. So I'll tell you from experience, if you're going to lease option out the really low houses, you're going to have a harder time finding somebody with money than if you move up to the median price and above. And the higher price you go, like right now, I just bought one for $440,000, worth $525. Excellent condition, 440 owner financing, nothing down, with a 5-year balloon. So all I have is closing costs in the house. We already got that one on the market for a lease purchase, and we're getting a ton of calls. But since I'm greedy, I'm not going to put anybody in that house where I can't get $50,000 non-refundable upfront deposit. And we've already got 2 people that Atlas running through there on Saturday to see which one of them we want to take. So you ain't going to get no $50,000 deposit on a $200,000 house. So the more dollars you waller in, the more stick to you. And just think of this. The cheaper the house, the harder it is to find people with money.
That's correct.
And I'm not letting anybody in my house with less than 5% non-refundable option deposit, and I shoot for 10% and usually get it. Usually get it. Don't always get it. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to take $50,000 on this house. That's 10% of the sales price. So I don't remember what the question was, but I think that answered it.
The question was, how long does it take to find a buyer when you're doing a lease option?
You should have one within 30 days. And the better quality of the neighborhood in the house won't even take you that long, most likely. In fact, when I buy a house, remember, I make my first payment in the third month after closing if it's vacant. So that's why I do that. Give me plenty of time to market it and not have to make a payment. And if you just do what I ask you to do, you're not going to have any trouble making a payment in the third month, because I don't give the seller an option. I'm not asking them if it's okay. I'm telling you this is how I'm going to pay you. It's a change of attitude. And we could talk for the next 2 hours on that question.
We could. So we got some more questions. We better move on to the next one.
And we're right here in the middle of our Quick Start School as we're filming this. In our third day, we just came off a bus trip, which I've added back to some of our Quick Start schools next year. So as soon as we change the schedule, just go on our website, ronlegrand.com, or the Gold Club site, and you'll see where we're going to be at, when we're going to be at. I'm going to do 2 virtuals, and I'm going 3 of them, 3 boot camps live here in Jacksonville that we go on a bus trip, and the rest of them are live where we replace the bus trip with a video that Jay Connor and I created, going through 2 uglies and 2 beautiful houses. I mean, literally years and years worth of learning curve, all condensed into a 4-day event.
It was really quite an adventure today. You'll love it.
Actually, I make offers on some MLS properties, which she sets it up where they come to me automatically. I can get them every day on my cell phone. We got one right now. We very well may get bought, waiting on the response from the other side. So I buy houses through the MLS and outside the MLS. But I'm going to tell you, your best deals by far are dealing with FSBOs, which you and the seller are the only ones in the deal, not the MLS, where you got plenty of investors competing with you. But on the other hand, it's worth looking at nowadays.
Actually, Ron, I had a student just approach me right before we were coming to do this video and asked me how he could make an offer on one of the houses we looked at.
Okay, but the ones we looked at to estimate repairs ain't even close to the ones we buy.
Exactly. But he wants to make an offer, and like we said, you know, even though it's listed more, if you don't ask, you don't get, so you never know.
Okay.
All right. Next question comes from Markus Mollica. He said, "Hey Ron, I've used your option agreement once, but ended up purchasing the property through my IRA/LLC. My intention now is to place a lease option tenant buyer in there. Are the lease agreement and lease option agreement good as they are for use in Ohio? And does he need to get an attorney to review it?"
All right, you always need to get an attorney to review your documents the first time. But honestly, I'd get the thing signed by the seller, then let him review it. And if it needs anything, it don't need anything fixed, but if it did, he knows what it is. And like North Carolina, I'm thinking, when you put a tenant buyer in the house, there's a 3-day right of rescission, so you need to be aware of any state rules like that you have as well. And he'll catch you up on that. For example, there's several states now that you need a license before you can assign a contract. Your attorney would know that. So anytime you do a purchase where the seller stays in the deal, meaning you're making the payments or whatever, or a sale to a tenant buyer, you need an attorney to close it for you for your own benefit. Now, I know, after saying that, 90% of you watching right now are going to totally ignore what I just said because you want to avoid the few $100 attorney's fee. I know you. When I put a tenant buyer in the house, they pay the attorney's fees, so it's free. When I buy the house, owner financing, subject to, or lease purchase, the attorney's worth their weight in gold because they know what documents need to be signed, make sure everything's legal, and how to protect you against possible lawsuits in the future because you didn't have the right paperwork now. So use an attorney. If it's not a cash, I don't use them for a cash deal, but any kind of, I still have a relationship with the seller or the buyer, the attorney's going to close it. And now, I done forgot the question. What was the question? Did that answer the question?
The question.
Get me cranked up, it's hard to shut me up.
It was kind of like, is there anything that he needed to review
in
on
a
like a
state.
standard purchase?
The
And
attorney
So-
should always review your contracts one time.
Right, but don't let that stop you from getting that done, because they can be fixed. And if you find something that needs to be fixed, then you just do an amendment or you change it.
If you get in our mentoring program, our mentors are going to check your contract before you even take it to the seller, because they
Yes.
will have to show you how to fix it, because you will not get it right. I've
Yeah.
never seen a student come into our mentoring program that filled out a contract that didn't need fixed in their beginning days.
Agree. I've had the
Yeah.
opportunity to help hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students, and I've never had one send an agreement that was correct the first time. It's not hard.
That's right.
You just don't remember everything, so you just need a little
That's why you get
tweaking.
help. And frankly, I can sit in the classroom and talk to you all day long, and ain't nowhere as good as getting out there in the real world and learning this stuff as you go, but preventing very expensive seminars along the way. I paid the price for you. I made every mistake 3 times or more, and there's no reason for you to make them if you just come in and get trained. The Quick Start School is the training. The mentoring is the implementation of that training. Without the implementation, the training is worthless.
Right.
All right, next up. How do you calculate repair costs quickly for your rehab projects?
There's no way I can answer that on here, because that takes up the last half of the second day of this training, in fact. And then we just went out on bus, went out into houses, and we went through them again.
That's exactly what we did this morning.
But the answer briefly is you add up all the major components, which are right in your manual, and then you add a miscellaneous column based on what you see, and that's your repair costs, and that's as close as you need to be. And your safety factor is not in your repair costs, it's in your offer, which we prove to you while you're here. Nobody puts a repair number on the house that's correct. Nobody. It's always more or sometimes less. So you need to learn how to estimate repairs, or the contractor's absolutely going to fleece you. That I can promise you. And the better you get at that, the better you get at controlling them and not wasting money paying contractors too much. And you're going to learn how much is too much. And I prove it to you by going into a Lowe's and taking pictures of things that you would put in a house, and there's a price tag right on them. So when I tell you what something costs, parts and labor, then you got the right answers. And believe me when I tell you, you want to go get an estimate to rehab your first house or 2 or 3, you're gonna get fleeced. I promise you, because they know you don't know what you're doing. So you better learn that before you get in the rehab business.
All right, next up. What habits separate successful investors from those who fail?
How to separate.
What habits?
You got an answer for that?
Yeah, absolutely. The
I
habits.
gotta think about that a minute.
Well, habits is you have to take daily action steps. You got to manage your time for sure. Habits is that's mindset, not necessarily a habit. But getting up every day and taking action steps, putting it in your calendar to make that happen, when you're going to do your marketing, when you're going to make the calls, when you're going to follow up and such. So that's crucial. And
That probably could be construed to say, why do people fail at real estate investing? And there's a pretty good long list.
right.
But the biggest reason is the fear.
Yes.
And they won't get over the fear because they don't take an action to actually get out in the real world and move it step by step forward. And if they won't go that far, then obviously they're not going to get anywhere. People come in and learn the business definitely do not know everything they need to know in the very beginning. But my most successful investors have come back and see me at least once or twice a year, because you always need continual learning, and it's free when you come the first time. And then without the a mentor working with you to help you, obviously it knocks your chances down at least to 50-50. But she hit it. Your habits
Yes.
will determine whether you succeed or not, and how much you're willing to actually go take the simple steps. In fact, they don't take much time anymore. I'm telling you, even my acquisitionist, Adel, admits that he don't work more than 10 hours a week. I told him he probably shouldn't tell me that, but it's true because he uses the technology and the outsourcing that we put in place for you. We've been doing this so long. So you can step into a system and take it step by step. You can get help along the way till you don't need that help anymore, or you can keep making excuses why it won't work here, it won't work now, market sucks, it's a scam, and all that crap people tell you, of which of course they're not qualified to tell you. And be careful to whom you listen. Because most of the people that are giving you advice are not qualified to give you that advice, and if you think for a minute they want you to succeed, you better think again, no matter what comes out of their mouth. Now, I hope that's not true for your mother and your spouse, but it's definitely true for other family members. They don't want to see you go skyrocket and be successful and leave them down here wallowing in self-pity. They want to see you fail so they can feel comfortable about their lack of action. So your habits is a big deal, and one step at a time. The quicker you get started at that, the quicker you're going to get to the next step and the next step. And next thing you look back and you're laughing at yourself for all the crap you were worrying about before you actually started making some real money. I got a gal in the room here, works down in southeast Florida, started in '05, I think, and they do 3 houses a month with very little time, and that's wholesaling and terms deals. And I mean, I got several people in the room, started from scratch, and they're doing very, very well. In fact, we got Jay Carner in the room. He came to the boot camp in 2009, made $1 million his first year. Now he's well over $2 million.
Yes.
And he shows it right in the room. So you got to start somewhere, and then you're going to decide from the training where you're going to go from there. But again, I don't care what you decide. 3 frogs sitting on a log. 2 decide to jump. How many's left? 3. Deciding to jump ain't jumping.
You have to focus on income producing activities, and that means you have to make those calls. You have to get the leads, motivated leads, and make the call. And if you spend your time doing all the other things, putting systems in place, this, that, you're not going to get the deals. So the habit is to focus on what's going to create the money, and that is making those calls and talking to those sellers.
And we have a 2-day event that we just formed, brand new.
Yes.
It's called Implementation Power Days, and you can guess what we do. We implement. We help you get your systems up and running, and before you leave that 2-day class, you already got a list to generate leads to do some cheap postcards to, and they mail them for you. I mean, this business is getting so easy. It is so easy. People try to make it hard, but it's not. There's never been an easier time to be in real estate than right now. With all the technology, and here comes AI, and we're using AI heavily. So again, the biggest decision you got to make right now is when do you want to get started and get serious?
All right.
I made a 2-day event. Got one coming on December 12 and 13 in Jacksonville. I'm only take 20 in it because we literally, you bring your laptop, we literally help you load this stuff on your laptop, pull leads in your own area, checks comps in your own area, and so forth. And then I'm doing one every other month after that here in Jacksonville. So you can go on our website and get the schedule. Also, we just started this here. 3 of the boot camps that we do per year will be bus trip boot camps in Jacksonville, where we get on the bus like we did this morning and go out and look at some ugly houses. And then several of them will be where the same boot camp, but we have a 3-hour presentation that Jay and I created on walking through uglies and walking through pretties and seeing the difference. And then we have 2 virtual boot camps next year. So obviously you're going to take it the way you want to take it. And truthfully, you need to get in the room if you want to get the biggest benefit out of the boot camp. Anybody will tell you that that's been to both virtual and the live event.
Sure.
All right. Well, last question I have for you guys. It's actually one that I added on here. Figured it made sense with next week being Thanksgiving. What is your guys' favorite Thanksgiving dish?
You think they really care, Luke?
I think they do.
You know what? We're having Thanksgiving dinner at a restaurant because my wife is almost 80 years old. She said her cooking days are done, and by God, she means it, because we eat out 6 to 7 nights a week at restaurants. So Thanksgiving nowadays ain't like it used to be. Frankly, I can't get none of my kids to cook the dinner and clean it up and all of that, so we just go out to restaurants. It's not a real big deal to us anymore.
You, Barb?
Well, I have a fabulous Brussels sprout recipe, but even better than that is...
There ain't no fabulous Brussels
Yes,
sprouts.
there is.
No,
That's
no
why
way
I
you can
mentioned
make
that.
Brussels sprouts
Most people
taste
don't
good.
like
No,
it,
no.
and this is fabulous. But even better than that, I have my own carrot cake. It's the best carrot
yeah.
cake in the world, with the
Yeah.
cream cheese icing, and so
Yeah.
got to make that.
You got that recipe from my old restaurant, didn't
No, that's my That's my recipe. It's even better.
you? It is yours now after you stole it from my restaurant.
No, it's different than the one you had from your other recipe.
If you say so.
I've had it before that, and it's just great.
All right.
But anyway, there's a lot to be thankful for, and
That's
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
That's true. You think about that for a minute. Next time you get down, you get in doubt, why don't you go through the homeless area of the city where you live in? Put yourself in their position. Better yet, why don't you ask yourself if you're one of those migrants coming to our country that walk miles and miles and miles to get in, put yourself in their position. And frankly, if you don't know how good you got it, why don't you take a trip to some country like Haiti or some of the Bahamas, islands and so forth, and just see how most people live. You are in the best country in the world, and it's a shame that you sit around and spend your whole life doing much of nothing and die with pretty much the same you were born with. And truthfully, that's most of the population, because they simply won't take action.
I can tell you that having the opportunity to mentor so many students, I've heard a lot of stories, and a lot of people have a lot of adversity, and I have too over my lifetime. And so I've sought, well, what is the best thing to help you? What is the secret to success, to getting over trauma, to getting over all of that? And then
Guilt.
from what I've learned is having an attitude of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude, I think that's the secret to happiness, is to be thankful and to have an attitude of gratitude. Not only is that a good philosophy for everyday life, it's also biblical. God wants you to have a thankful heart, and so Thanksgiving is an opportunity to really be thankful for all your blessings. And as an investor and a real estate investor, you have so much opportunity to be thankful for. So, as a follow-up to that, we want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. On behalf of Ron, myself, and all of Global, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving and hope you really enjoy that holiday and be thankful.
And
for
I've
what
got
you
an
have.
assignment for you. Ready for the assignment? Okay. Next time you go to the grocery store, I want you to look up down the aisle and find somebody you think could use a little help,
Yes.
and get behind them in line, or ahead of them in line, better yet, and pay for their entire basket full of groceries for them. You will feel so good when you do that, and you've just learned the meaning of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
In fact, you might even just make it a habit, and you wouldn't believe how people react. First of all, they want to know if you're some criminal or something, but after they get past that, they're really so appreciative. Help those in need, and you will enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday.
And be blessed as well.
Okay. Now, see you next week, but you need to get on your calendar if you want to get your system set up and running. December 11 and 12, what is it?
12 and 13, I believe. Or it could be
The
13, 14.
two-day implementation event is here in Jacksonville. And if you're watching this and you're a master, it's only $500 a couple. If you're in mentoring and not a master, it's only $1,000 a couple. Everyone else is $19.95 a couple. And believe me, when you leave, your system is going to be up and running and you're already doing business. We make your laptop down and we help you load it, so you don't have to figure out how to do all of that stuff. And also, that's December. And actually, I'm not doing a boot camp in December, but I will be doing another one in Jacksonville here. And go take a look at the schedule.
January.
Because it's just going to be changing. These are both new events that I've added that I just talked about. Keep it up with us. Keep up with us. Keep up with what's going on, because we're coming up with new stuff all the time for you. In fact, we're working on a program to have our VAs call your list. Call your list that you pull off of Dreams Pro. Cold call them, in other words, after you screen them down, cold call them and see if they got a house for sale. We've never been able to do that before, but we're about to begin doing that. Just one of the services that we're adding. So, and a lot of people are getting deals from just cold calling. Well, I ain't going to do it, but your VAs will do it. In other words, they're exchanging their time for your money. All right. All right. See you next week.
And one thing I want to add before we go, Ron, is any of the events that he mentioned in the video, I'll link down below, and then the phone number below is the team that Ron has over at Global. And if you guys have any questions about any of the events or anything that he talked about today, feel free to give them a call. They work Monday through Friday, and they are more than happy to help you.
And by the way, you know, it's your responsibility to send us your questions. Participate. You get a lot more out of it, like Tony and Angie.
Right.
Every week we get questions from them. In fact, they were just at my last two-day event here.
They were there last week.
And they were at commercial boot camp last week too, weren't they? Okay, participate. And by the way, they got deals flowing now.
Yes.
Took them quite a while to get started, but now they're flowing, and you watch how fast they're going to grow now. Okay.
There's your secret. Never quit.
No, most important check you're going to get is the first one, or the next one. And now you know, oh my goodness, I can do this. It actually works here. It ain't a scam. It ain't a bad real estate market. And all the other stupid excuses people will give you if you let them. So get to work. You run out of here. All right, I'm off the soapbox for the last time. See you guys next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.